Hi, I'm Mary Kate at the Bellevue Arts Museum. Today we will be making a work of art inspired by the book The Rainbow Fish by Marcus Pfister. What you're going to need today are some watercolor paints, some markers, some kind of heavy-duty watercolor paper. If you don't have watercolor paper, you could use construction paper or just like any sort of paper. And then also some aluminum foil. So what we're going to do first is create the background for your rainbow fish. This technique, this watercolor technique, is called wet on wet watercolor. So what we're going to do first is you take our paintbrush with the water and just kind of brush some plain old water onto our paper. So the paper's wet. And here's the second part. So now that your paper is kind of wet, we will be taking our watercolor paints, getting that ready to go, and painting it onto that wet part on the paper. So when you do this, the watercolors will really spread out nicely, and I think it's a really pretty technique that reminds me a lot of the ocean. Let's see, I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do blue, maybe a little purple today to make it kind of darker. A lot of blue though. You'll want to cover all that paper. One thing you might want to think about while you're doing this part is what kind of ocean your rainbow fish is going to live in. So my rainbow fish is just going to live in just like the blue part of the ocean, but maybe your rainbow fish lives at the very bottom where the water is super duper dark. I don't know. So maybe take that into consideration while you're doing the painting part. So what's next? This is the really cool science part. I'm going to take a little bit of salt, not too much, and I'm going to sprinkle it on top of the painted part of my paper. And when you do that, if you've never done this before, it's a really cool kind of science project where you can see the paint kind of attracts to the salt, and you get these really cute little polka dots. So you can do as much or as little as you want. I'm going to stop right here before my painting gets too salty. I'll just kind of brush my hands off over there. Okay, so the background part of your painting is done. I'm going to set mine aside. And I'm going to start on the fish part of my project. So I will rip another piece of paper. In this portion, I'll be doing with my just like washable markers. But if you wanted, you could do this with paint. It just might be a bit more challenging. So the first thing first is you are going to draw a fish. You can draw whatever kind of fish you want. It could be a goldfish, it could be a tuna fish, it could be a blue fish. So I'm going to just draw what my heart tells me to draw. So I have some back fins. My fish is going to be smiling, showing its teeth. Ooh, it's kind of scary. So once you draw a fish, you can see mine's a little lumpy. You can start adding in parts of the fish like its gills and its scales. I'm going to grab the fish that I was working on earlier today because it's a bit more done. So you can see my fish, I've added the gills, I've added a bunch of scales, I've decorated its fins, it has eyes, it's got some rainbow lips. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to finish decorating the scales. So maybe I'll color a few more in. Maybe I'll draw some little stars in some of my scales because my fish is a star. And then this is the part that relates to the Rainbow Fish book. So we will be using some of the aluminum foil. So you can see I I got a lot of aluminum foil right here, but I'm gonna try to conserve my materials. I don't know who else might be using this. So I'm just gonna cut out a little piece. Just that big. Okay, and now I'm gonna cut out some scales that will go onto my rainbow fish. I'll be able to glue them on with my glue. I'm gonna make my scales maybe, that's about like the size of like the top half of my thumb. So I like scales that size. So that's how big mine are gonna be. And you could do, I mean, if you really wanted, you could make your rainbow fish made totally out of rainbow scale, out of these shiny scales. But I'm not gonna do that today because I worked really hard drawing all those polka dots and stars on my fish. Okay. So now that I have these, I will be using some of my glue and just kind of gluing a few of these on. This is going to be so pretty when the light hits it and it shines and reflects off the scales. I'm just going to kind of spread my rainbow fish's scales out throughout its body. Okay. So you can see I've glued a few scales on here. I didn't color mine in completely just because I like the way it looks right now. But if you wanted to color your fish in totally, that's awesome. The final step is gluing your rainbow fish down to its scene. So my paper has dried off. You might need to brush some of the salt off of it. It kind of still sticks to the top, but you can see how there's this pattern. It kind of looks a little bit like bubbles, which I think is very under the sea themed. What I'm just going to do now is add some dots of glue. You don't need too much glue. You don't want this getting all gloopy. Just a few dots around the outside, on the perimeter of your fish. And I'm just going to glue mine down.